okay, your action has put hospital operations at risk in Gaza, water pumps, the sewage system, huge health
actions?
risks. You squeeze them.
Well, how can I squeeze them? I'm paying $96 million, half of my budget, 50%.
And when people protested in the streets in June about your action, you arrested dozens of them and your security forces beat them up in custody. And you tell me how democratic you are.
Well, look, if you want me to be perfect, I'm not perfect.
This is very far from being perfect, isn't it?
Look.
This is government policy. You beat them up
you mentioned one demonstration. It's true. Some people were beaten up. That's right. And then you're telling me that I am not exploiting human rights.
And you say nobody's perfect. And you say nobody's perfect.
No.
That's not an excuse. What about the corruption? The massive corruption in the Palestinian Authority? Well, the latest polling in September shows that more than 80% believe that there is widespread corruption in the Palestinian Authority. They cite nepotism, bribery, abuse of public funds, and lack of transparency. You know, your own independent watchdog, Amman, the Coalition for Accountability and Integrity, has issued yet another blistering report about you for the year 2017. Let's get on to the real problem.
Let's get to the real problem, exactly.
Which is the human rights abuses. Human Rights Watch, which you've dealt with for many years, has just produced its latest report, compiled over 2 years, which features credible reports of shocking human rights abuses by your security services. Your abuses
How many cases the human rights specified?
They base their investigation on 147 interviews, as you know well.
In 2 years, yeah.
As you know well.
Yes.
Shocking abuse.
Yes.
They say that there are violations of international humanitarian law and contravene the legal obligations that you took when you signed up to human rights treaties over the last 5 years. Torture, extensively documented, may amount to a crime against humanity. And you're telling me you're a democratic state.
We are.
And you allow torture on a daily basis.
No, we are. We are a democratic state.
You allow torture on a daily basis.
Look.
The West Bank, some of the harshest treatment reported by detainees takes place in Jericho at the Joint Security Committee Detention Center.
Joint Security Committee with whom?
This is Human Rights Watch reporting. The Joint Security Committee Detention Center. Officers force prisoners into painful stress positions, long stints in solitary confinement. A young man from the Balata refugee camp said he was twice subjected to electric shocks and once had a cord tied around his genitals. So much for signing the Convention Against Torture.
We are members of the Convention Against Torture.
And you abuse it, and you violate it on a regular basis.
As I told you, the 147 cases for 2 years, 24 months are being investigated, and each single one, people who have committed these atrocities will be held accountable. That's my promise.
How many people have been held accountable?
Look,
how many? How many?
Many.
How many? You can't tell me, can you?
Governors.
3, 5,
no, wait a minute,
7,
wait a minute. I cannot tell you numbers, but I can tell you that security officials in certain areas were sacked, fired. They were demoted.
How many?
Governors.
How many?
I really cannot. As I told you, my
it doesn't mean anything
so much
unless
to me.
You have a number.
I will get you the number. I don't have it with me now. But many.
You're also cracking down on freedom of speech as well.
How?
January last year, your security forces detained Faris Jabbour, a student from Hebron, about his participation in a book event organized by the Islamic group at his university. He'd already been arrested 5 times on charges that turned out to be false. You go after these people again and again and again. He was taken on one occasion to the Jericho Detention Center where officers alternated between kicking and hitting him with a stick. You're smiling.
I'm
smiling
because
to smile about.
No, because I live in Jericho. And Nami, my wife, is
under your nose.
Nami knows.
People. You know it's going on.
Of course, and then I go and interfere and stop it on behalf of the president and the prime minister.
How democratic you are.
We
at
are.
The same time as you
that's
know
why.
That's why
when it happens, we stop it. We admit it. We don't hide it. We don't find excuses. We don't buy people. People have their own lips and ears and eyes. But if you want me to be the perfect model for you, I'm not perfect.
Aren't you ashamed of all this that's been going on?
In some cases, I'm ashamed, yes.